Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Allegedly Credible. I'm your girl Danielle, aka Lady Faye,
And it's your girl Mel Supremo, aka Mel.
and we are two friends, and we're giving you advice based on our personal experiences. We always give this disclaimer before we start the show. Uh, we don't always agree with each other, and that's perfectly okay. We give you advice, you take what you need, throw out what you don't. We are not experts at anything, but we will have experts on the show. So, speaking of which, today our topic is called
Getting your life
Yes.
yeah.
Why do you need life insurance?
Yeah.
So I'm going to let's do that a little bit more enthusiastically now that I think about it.
Okay.
Get your life.
Get your life.
Okay. Get your life.
And why you actually need life insurance.
Exactly. Okay. So hey, it's your girl Lady Faye, and I'm here with Mellow Supremo, and we are talking about getting your life, why you need life insurance. And we have a special guest, Ebby G, in the house, and she's going to be talking to you about the importance of life insurance, why you need it, because we all know we go to die one day. So make sure you get your life in order. Check this episode out. Okay, so our guest for today, her name is Ebby G, and she's a licensed life and health insurance agent, and she's licensed in the state of New Jersey, North Carolina, South Carolina, and California. So we're going to go and let Ebby G introduce herself a little bit more, give you more of a background on her.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited to just share. I'm Ebby G. I'm originally from New Jersey, and I currently live in North Carolina. I have a background in counseling, so helping people is just a passion of mine. And this is what I get to do: is help people day in and day out with life insurance. So I am, like Danielle said, Faye said, I am licensed in health and life insurance, and just different other services that I can provide to help people with health, wealth, and financial management.
Awesome. So what made you decide to specifically go into like insurance? Because there's so many different ways to help people, but why insurance in particular?
For me, honestly, I've realized that there was a need. So my grandmother passed away at 102, and I just realized that some people just don't have life insurance. And there was just a situation that I guess occurred. I have no idea the whole story, but she didn't have insurance. And unfortunately, that is the story of a lot of people, right? And we have to realize that a lot of times and I've seen it, I've heard it, everybody's putting together a pot, people are grieving, and it's not a good time. One person puts in more, one person puts in less, and then it just creates discord in the midst of grief. And it's just like, why? And I realized that there was an importance in having it. A lot of people are not educated about it. I wasn't educated about it, and I was like, something has to be done. Like, we have to do something different. So I needed to step in and just be of need. And I realized that it just wasn't talked about, especially in African American culture.
Facts.
Too many times.
Oh wow. Well, since we're talking about life insurance, what is life insurance and why do people need it?
All right. Well, life insurance is exactly what it sounds like: insurance on your life. So when you pass away, there is, when you have life insurance, depending on what kind of policy you have, but the life insurance will be given to your beneficiaries to help for your final expenses. And what was your other question? Why do we need it?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because life is unexpected. Tomorrow is not promised, and a lot of us do not have the money to put someone in the ground. And a lot of us don't even have money for emergency things for our cars.
So a lot of us don't even have money for like basic stuff. Like, have you seen gas? Have you seen eggs?
Exactly. So imagine having to have a life crisis, like someone passing away unexpectedly, and then having to put money together. Like, it's a struggle already living. So imagine when somebody passes away, like, it's a struggle. And that's why we need it. And there's also different uses for life insurance. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that.
I was gonna say, like, is there a particular time in which it's best to start putting in for life insurance, or like is there like a sweet spot?
Like, is there a certain age?
Possibly. as soon as possible.
Oh, as
If
soon as
you're listening
possible.
to it, because tomorrow is not promised, and a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, I'm young, whatever." But there was these teens that were at prom yesterday died. Like they were 17, 18 years old. Like we don't know when we're gonna be out of here. So it's ignorant for us to just think because we're young, we're gonna live till 100. Like that sounds great, but if you're listening to it now, like today is the day. Like get it done.
So can you get life insurance for your kids? Like if Mel wanted to get life insurance for her children, can she do that?
Which I do.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with children's policies, an adult like a parent or a grandparent can actually get a life insurance policy for that child.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So what are the different types of life insurance?
Wait, before
Okay, go
we go
ahead.
into the different types, because you made a good point. Isn't it? I've heard some cases people been popping up as like, oh, I already had like a life insurance on them, and they are not related to that person at all. Like, is there a way that you can get life insurance on people that you don't even know, or is that just weird?
So, life insurance companies, you have to have insurable interest, right? Which means you have to have a reason why or a connection with that person. So I can't just get it on my neighbor just randomly. First, I'm going to need their social security number, and why would I have my neighbor's social security number, right? So
Yeah.
there has to be an insurable interest, whether it's me getting a life insurance policy on my parent, my brother, my sister, my cousin. They're gonna have, and the person that you're getting insurance on is gonna most likely have sign off on it. So there has to be there's going to be some notification to that person that life insurance is going to happen.
Okay.
Okay. So I can get a policy on any of my siblings too. Even though they probably have their own policies, but I can actually get a policy on them too.
Yes, you can definitely. They're just going to have to sign off on it. So you can be the owner, and the person can be the person that's the insured. Yes.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay. So then that goes into the question I was about to ask. What types of life insurance are there? And then, like, what are the pros and cons of both?
Yeah, so the first type of life insurance policy is a whole life policy. So that is exactly what it sounds like, a whole life. It covers you for the duration of your life. Some of them go past 100 to 121. The products that we use with my company, we actually have it till 121. So that's the whole life policy. And that's really good because it covers you for the duration of your life. So no matter what happens, the rate is not going to increase, and whatever your health status, if even if it changes, you're still covered. So that's definitely a pro with a whole life policy, and it also grows a cash value. So at some point in the future, not you can't get a policy today and then tomorrow take out a loan. It's going to have to accrue a cash value, but you can definitely take out a policy loan on it in the future for whatever you may need. It's just going to decrease from the face value. So if it's $100,000 policy, you take out a policy loan of $20,000, 80,000 is going to go to your beneficiary, pretty much like that.
Got it.
Um,
Got it.
yep, a term policy is also another form of life insurance, which is good for someone who is, younger, just getting started, just wanting to have something that is going to be sustainable for them. It's going to be cheaper for a whole life for a term policy, and you're going to be able to get a lot more in coverage. So you can get a $500,000 policy, a $300,000 policy for cheaper because it's only for an extended period of time. The only thing with a term policy is it will expire. So if you wait until it expires, there's 10-year terms, 20-year terms, 30-year terms. If you wait till that time expires, your health can change and also your age. So when you do transition into like a policy, like a whole life policy or something, it's going to be higher, and your health status may change. So it may be challenging for you to get coverage or the amount of coverage that you desire.
So then, would it make sense to start off with just getting the life policy rather than the term?
Yes, so it really does depend. Some people just get a whole life policy because they can be a little bit more expensive, but it depends on the person's budget. So if they're like a 30-year-old, like, you know what, for the next 20 years, We do also provide that for mortgage protection. So if you have a 30-year mortgage, if anything happens to that person, the mortgage can be covered. And then afterwards, they can, have a whole life policy. So some people have multiple policies. They have a whole life policy and they have a term policy. So if anything happens to them, that term policy can cover their mortgage, and then the whole life policy can take care of their family or whatever have you. So there's different ways that you can do it. But you can also convert a lot of term policies. So if you just want to start out like, okay, let me just get my foot in the door and have some coverage, you can do that. And then 2 years later, you can also transition into a whole life policy.
So you have mentioned how your health can change the rate and stuff like that, or what kind of policy you can get. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. So what health conditions are they looking for in order for you to get the best policy that's available to you?
Absolutely. So, no matter what the case, people can get life insurance. And a lot of times, the unfortunate part is that they meet with someone who may only have one product that they can offer. So if that company doesn't take someone who may have Crohn's disease or diabetes, that person will be declined. And then they think that they can never get insurance with any other carrier, but every company is going to be different. So every company is going to have different set of standards. Every kind of product is going to have different set of standards. So, and I'm just going to use me for an example. For the companies that I work with multiple companies, over 20 different carriers. So I would have I've worked with people who have heart attacks, and most people, some companies won't cover them if they had a heart attack in the last 2 years. But there are some companies that will cover them with, it's called like a guaranteed issue whole life policy, where there is a 2-year waiting period. So if anything happens, if they pass away in that 2 years, they don't get the full face amount, but they will get all the premium that they paid into it, plus an additional maybe 10%. But if they survive after that 2 years, they'll get the full policy. So there'll still be some kind of coverage, but there's just different kind of policy. So every company is going to be different. One company may not take someone who has diabetes. One company may take someone who has diabetes, so it really depends on the person, their health status, but every company is going to be different.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I had to ask that question because I got life insurance. Me and Abby had talked about this a while ago.
Okay.
I had gotten life insurance. My parents actually set it up for me years ago, and I remember we're all sitting there, and they're
the
like,
blood pressure test and everything.
They did all that, and then they were like, "Well, how much do you weigh?" When I had to tell them how much I weighed, and at the time I was way bigger than I am now, and I just remember they were like, "Oh, well, you can't get the same type of policy that the rest of your family's getting." And I just I think I don't have a policy where I can borrow against I don't think I can borrow against whatever, like you said, the loan. And I just remember being like, dang, I gotta lose weight. I felt so horrible about the situation.
That. I think I remember
that. So I felt so horrible about the situation, but I didn't know until I talked to Abby a few months ago that there are different policies that will take me based on my weight, but then there is a certain of course you want to try to lose weight and be as healthy as possible, because the healthier you are, the more insurable you are. But at the same time, it's just there are policies that will take people who are heavier. So don't use that as an excuse as to not to get health insurance. I just want to let you guys know that too.
Life insurance.
Sorry.
Get health insurance.
Get health insurance too, but no, I meant life insurance. My bad. But no, my brain went to another thing because you said there are other. I have a friend whose brother has cerebral palsy, and they've been looking for health insurance for him, but I didn't know if having a disability that. Why do I keep saying health insurance? I mean life insurance, y'all. I'm sorry.
We know what you said. Get your life. Get your life.
Yes. Okay? Life insurance. And they've been struggling to find a policy for him. So I was wondering, if you were born with a disability, does that disqualify you from getting.
I guess in certain companies, like you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So there are some companies that, so how it works, there are some companies that if you were born with a disability, you may not qualify for insurance.
Mm-hmm.
However, if the parent were to get a policy, they can actually add their child on as a rider, up to a certain amount. So it could be up to $5,000. So the parent got like a policy and they can get a policy on, they can add that child as a rider so that if anything happened to the child will be able to get a certain amount in insurance. So there's different ways about it. You just have to find the right company and, the right person that'll be able to get you into that direction.
So what's a rider? I never heard that term.
Yeah, so a rider is like it's an addition to the insurance policy. So what we consider a rider is if you got insurance policy for $20,000, a rider could be accidental death. So if you were to pass away in an accident, you would be able to double the actual $20,000 or $15,000, whatever the face amount is. It will be doubled if you were to die in an accident. Another rider could be guaranteed insurability. So if you so every company has different riders, and these are just additional add-ons that you can add onto the policy that would, be beneficial for the person, for the insurer.
Okay. That's good to know. See, I'm learning we both learning stuff, and we actually have life insurance. We've been on it, but I've learned something new today, so I hope y'all learned something.
Yeah. And then I was going to ask you, like, how you work at a job and they offer you the life insurance. Would you say that that's the best way to get life insurance, or should you go and search personally for what best suits your situation?
That's a great question.
Thank you
and
very
I would
much.
honestly, I would say you definitely need, and I always ask people, do you have life insurance outside of your job that you own and control? Because if your job owns it, most of the time it's a blanket group policy. And if you leave that job, you no longer have that insurance. And some people don't realize when they're in the middle of leaving a job, there's a 30-day period, like a window, where they can actually convert that policy from their job if they have like a whole life policy, because every job is going to be different and every job offers different things. But if they had a whole life policy with their job, there's a 30-day window where they can actually convert that policy to their own. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be, it could be more expensive depending on their age and stuff like that. And there may be different stipulations. They may have to go through a health exam or something, but they can do that. I honestly tell people all the time, get something outside of work that you own and control, because a lot of people don't realize, they say, oh, I have insurance through my job, but they don't realize it's accidental death. And what's unfortunate about that is a lot of these stipulations are, let's just say you have an accidental death policy at your job. Some of these clauses, it only, like if you die on the clock, that's the only way that it'll pay out to the beneficiary. There's other clauses where if you die on a Saturday and you were off that Friday, your beneficiaries will not get that.
That's savage.
And people they don't think to look into these things because they're just like, oh, I have something and I'm covered. I thought I had life insurance through my job and it was just accidental death. And I'm just like, oh, I really don't have anything. So people really need to have something outside of their job that they own, control, and they know this is mine, this is where it is, this is who the beneficiary is, because anything can happen and their family is screwed and that person didn't even know.
Yo, I'm gonna say this. I'm sorry.
What would be so crazy? Like, what if, let's just say that situation happened, right? If I found out that my family, I don't know how I would find out, but if I found out that my family wasn't covered under my policy, I would resurrect so fast. I'd be like, go like a video game, be like, for most recent save file, like, all right, what just happened?
Right.
You better get this money.
I'm like, yo, this how you know.
I would haunt everybody.
Just to be cared about you. They'd be like, hey, this is a perk. Look at all these perks we're offering. But don't read the fine print, because if you don't die while you here, Y'all
On the clock. On the clock.
Y'all ain't getting nothing.
Yeah.
Zip, zero, nada.
So
Oh my
And I bet you,
gosh.
like, what if like
every
someone?
policy is different. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What if someone what if somebody like self-deleted themselves?
Yeah, that's
Well,
a good question. If so, let's say someone like kills himself or
Wait, we
whatever.
gotta be careful with the words of weird. This is going on YouTube.
Okay, whatever.
edit
Let's
that
say
out.
somebody like takes their own life. There we go.
Unalives themselves. Yes.
Yes.
So
Would they still be covered under life insurance, or depends on the policy?
So every life insurance policy has a 2-year period where, and it says it in the contract, if a person, passes away due to unaliving themselves, they will not pay the policy for 2 years. So it is a 2-year waiting period on most policies. I'm not sure if it's all policies, but most policies have a minimum of 2 years. And if a person does that, they won't. Their family will not get the insurance money. Because some people will take out a policy just to do that.
Oh,
And
right.
unfortunately, they're not going to pay it out.
They had to that can't be in small print because like you said, people do that on purpose. So they have to make that in the most boldest print. Like, do not get this policy so that you can go and pay for your family and let them have a better life, because it's not going to work. They're never going to see that money.
It says once the policy is sent out, everything is mapped out, and it talks about it. There is, there's stipulations in there. It tells you everything that you need to know about the policy, and that is a part of it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad I asked that question. I'll edit what I need to edit later.
I wanted to add something about life insurance policies for children, and I really stress this out. So you can get a policy on a child as little as 2 weeks old. And the benefit of having life insurance policy on your child, there's so many different ones. I made a video about this, but one thing about having a life insurance policy on your child, it guarantees them life insurance, obviously, but it also locks them in. So there's different stages of their life where they can actually add additional coverage without proving their health status. So if you got a $50,000 policy on your child at the age of 2 weeks, and at the age of 17, they were diagnosed with a disease or something that would make it difficult for them to get insurance, there's different stages of their life when they're 25, and every company is different, but just giving an example, when they're 25, 28, 35, 40, when they get married, when they have a child, where they can add an additional coverage up to the original face amount. So if they had 50,000 originally, they can add additional 50,000. It will be the price will be determined upon their age, but they won't have to show proof of their health status. So they can have something, but because they were insured at such a young age before anything, and I see it all the time, 4-year-olds are getting diagnosed with leukemia and all of these different things. Unfortunately, if they try to get a life insurance policy on that child at that moment, they wouldn't be eligible. So it's really good to have your child have a policy like straight out the womb, just have something, and they're really cheap. They're really, really freaking cheap.
Actually, that reminds me, I don't even know if I got life insurance on the last one.
You better.
I can help you with that.
You better take care of that.
Like Taryn got it. It's he set that all up, but I should remind him. Yeah,
because y'all poor bro.
And you know what?
Poor bro.
Ro be the one that would end up doing something disastrous, like the way that she be throwing herself off of beds on hardwood floors. Like,
yo, you better poor. She take y'all be. I feel like every parent, their first child, they be like, let's line up everything perfect. We did everything right. The second child, they be like, oh yeah, did we do that?
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
I'm trying to keep up, okay? With every child, I lose more and more brain cells, okay? Can I just live? Like, I'm trying to get my life together. This is all a learning experience. Right, Abby?
Right. It's all, get your life. Also, with children's policies, they can be covered with between 0 and 17. So once they turn 18, they're going to get into an adult policy. They might have to go through some, health exams. And the companies that we work with, they actually don't require you to do a health exam. So it's based off of your medical record. So they're not going to have you pee in a cup. They're not going to have a nurse come to your house. We do everything. We take care of everything for you, and it's a non-medical policy.
So I have a question. So when they cook from a kid's policy to the adult policy, she texting right now to see if she. She texting right now. So you
act now, people.
So she on it. So you said from 17 and then it goes to an adult policy. So do you have to call and be like, hey, 17, or do they automatically roll it into an adult policy?
Well, would that be the lifetime?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, so sorry I confused you. So you can get coverage for a child's policy is between 0 and 17. If you don't get it for them by the age of 17, they're going to have to get a policy as an adult, is what I'm saying. So that's when they would go into their medical records. So the policies that I write for children, there's only 2 questions. Was the child born with a heart defect or birth defect? And have they been in the hospital or any issues in the past 3 years? So those are the only 2 questions. But when they get into adulthood, they may be diagnosed with, a mental health disorder or something that may be challenging, or medication that they were prescribed that may be challenging for them to get a policy. So it's really good to have something for them before they turn 18.
Okay, I got you. I got what
that
you're saying.
Sense? Okay, got you.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah. All right, I got it. I was just like, I didn't know if they had to go and then get an adult policy, because I thought, okay, I got you. That makes sense. Okay. All right. So why do you think that it's like? Well, wait. Before I get into that question, let me rewind. What is the average price? I know you said it depends, varies on different things, but what is the average price of health insurance? I mean, life insurance. Gee, I'm sorry, y'all. I got health on my brain. What is the average?
Well, you can't have if you don't have health, you got no life. So
right. I think it's because it goes into conjunction with each other.
It's like preventative measures of the health insurance, and then when nothing can be done, you got life insurance to fall back on.
What is the average premium for life insurance?
Ooh, insurance.
There we go.
Okay, insurance. Someone got their license.
You know what's funny? I was trying so hard because I work with I have my property and casualty insurance license. So in my brain, I just said, Danielle, do not say property and casualty this whole time. But I keep saying health instead. But anyway, what is the average premium for life insurance?
It really does depend. I usually work with people within their budget. I mean, I can give you some figures that I've worked with people. I have my younger brother who's 28 years old, a male. No, he doesn't smoke. No real serious health issues. He had a $50,000 policy, and he's paying about $25 a month. So, and he's 28. So that's different. When I have some people that are 33 who got a $300,000 policy and they're paying $100 a month. But it all depends on, so everything is going to be different based off of your health, what's in your medical records, because I can give someone a quote for something. We apply for that particular policy, because we also have policies that are index universal life policies, which are permanent products. And every index universal life policy is going to be designed differently. The company that I work with, it's designed to be a permanent product. So the basic difference between that and a whole life policy is how the cash value builds. So a whole life policy has a guaranteed percentage of what it builds each year, versus the index universal life. It's going to go based off of an index. So it can vary. Now with this one, you will not lose money, but you may build your cash value at a faster rate than that of a whole life policy. Either way, it could still be, if both people have $100,000 in a whole life or index universal life, they passed away, both of the beneficiaries would get $100,000. It just changes the way that the cash value is built. So for that index universal life products, the rates and the premium may be less than that of a whole life policy because of the guaranteed versus index. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I got that.
Yeah, so that can vary. So sometimes I can give people a quote for that. If they don't qualify for it, then we're gonna have to go for another company and we'll see why you wouldn't qualify for it. Maybe there was something in your past, your medical history that they're like, we're not going to take you for this, but you can still qualify for a whole life policy. And then driving records can also affect that, and criminal records. And
I get that. Things. Never mind. I was on the driving record, but no, actually, I understand that. Yeah, I get that.
You recklessly driving, and I'm like,
yeah, I get that.
You taking your life for granted.
Yeah. So I do have so sorry, I just want to say this before I forget. Yeah. So the premium for if you get like life insurance for your child, how much is that usually? Like, I know that ranges, but like if you're getting a fresh 2-week-old child, you get a life insurance on it. What's a good price so that people know, so they can be smart about it? Listen to how much it is, y'all.
Yes. It could cost less than $20 if you wanted to get a $50,000. Let's just say you wanted a $50,000 policy. It can cost you $18 for a child that's under 5. If they're 17, it might be 25 or 30. It does depend. But if it's a 14-day-old child, $50,000 policy can probably run you about $20 a month.
Yeah, and like that's nothing.
That's nothing.
That's
like,
literally that's less than gas.
Think about
it. 4 Happy Meals. That's 4 Happy Meals a month.
Yeah. 4 Happy Meals is wow. For a Happy Meal is $5.
I don't know.
It's probably more than that, but I'm just saying.
Because I was I was thinking, like, so that's for a 50,000 policy. Mm-hmm. Like, I be hearing about like $1 million policies. I assume the premium would change, and like, would that be a good number to start with, or does that make sense?
I tell people to start with what they can afford. If you want to get $1 million policy, go ahead. When you start, go.
Oh, I was gonna say, because like, is even $1 million policy gonna be enough? Especially like, the way the world is going. Like, I know the cost of living is going up and everything. Like, because you say 50,000, like, what would that be given down the road? Like, would it be smart to up the policy as times change, or does it kind of like change on its own?
You can definitely, once you get locked into a policy, like, you can't upgrade it. You know what I mean? Like, the whole life policy. So once you get locked into that, you can't change the face amount. You would just have to get an additional policy. So you can do that when you start getting, because some companies have a cap on how much you can get, depending on, like, so for instance, some of the companies that I work with, you can get up to $300,000 without a health exam. If you wanted $500,000, they're going to ask you to do a health exam because they want to see if there's anything going on with you and stuff like that. So they might pull some blood, do some urine, all that other stuff. But if you start to get in the millions, they're going to require a health exam, which is okay. But, sometimes I tell people, like, it's called a fully underwritten, and they're going to fully underwrite you and see if there's anything in there, So I do steer people away from, if they want to go fully underwritten, that's completely fine, but they're going to look for something. If they find something, it may cause you to not be insurable with another carrier because they're going to be able to see that.
Oh, they're going to put it like on your records, like, hey, this person has
so they can see that you. Well,
they have a gimpy leg. Don't approve that.
But every company is going to be different. Every product is going to be different. So it's really good to sit down with an insurance agent who really knows, really like an insurance broker who knows, like, different policies, different companies, different carriers. Having someone who just works with one specific company, it could help you, but also it really does. It just kind of,
limits. You have a limit. Yeah,
it limits you. Yeah,
I got you. So this is as you mentioned before when we first started talking, like this is something that we don't really tend to talk about. Like we just don't like to talk about death in the Black community at all.
No.
And
Lord Jesus.
And I think that it's like, I don't know. Do you think like it's like taboo to talk about this? Because
it's kind of hard.
I think that like, I don't know if people just don't want to accept the fact that they're going to die one day, or just
people like to market it as morbid. It's like, oh, we'll get there, we get there. And then we have these cases where you're showing up to the funeral with $2 in your pocket. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, death is just a conversation that really a lot of people don't want to talk about it. Even when I started doing insurance, I didn't want to talk about it. It was very challenging for me to have that conversation. Like, it's a very dark subject, but it has to happen because it's gonna happen. Like, none of us are gonna make it out of here alive. Like it's something that's the only thing in life that's guaranteed. So we have to just have the conversation and just like, because I had to have a conversation with my parents when I first got my insurance policy. I was like, okay, I don't want to have this conversation, but I'm going to be stuck if something happens to one of y'all and there's no insurance. So we're going to get you a policy. As hard as this conversation is, like, now we breathe easier because something happens, it's taken care of. So we just have to have that initial conversation. And some people feel like, oh, if I have the conversation about death, I'm going to die tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
I mean, you can, even if it was the case, you're not going to be here to figure it out. So
yeah, like just so that's another thing too. So one thing that I don't understand, because this is something that I actually had to deal with. So I had a friend, and when she was raised by her grandmother, and when her grandmother passed, her grandmother had life insurance policies, but for whatever reason, never talked to
the beneficiary
about like where the life insurance policies were. So it's like, let's say that someone passes and you don't know if your relative had a life insurance policy or not. What would be the steps to find that out?
Yeah, walk through the process.
There are millions of dollars of unclaimed life insurance policies because of that situation. The beneficiaries do not know that they're a beneficiary. The person didn't talk about it. They didn't have the documents laid out or prepared. They didn't tell the people where it was. So a lot of beneficiaries do not know that they're marked as beneficiaries, and therefore there's millions of dollars of unclaimed life insurance policies that are just out. That are just out there that are, somebody should have claimed them, but they don't. One thing I do when I sit down with my clients is I say, okay, I tell them that very thing, like, all right, there are millions of dollars of unclaimed life insurance policies. Who would be the person to contact me if anything happens to you? I'm sorry, when something happens to you. Because I need to introduce myself to them. I need them to know who I am because I need them to call me because you can't call me. So I need them to know who I am so that it can be paid out to that individual. So that's the most important conversation. I have a list of them and I'm just like, hey, my name is Ebony. I sat with your aunt, your mom, whatever. She named you as a beneficiary. And then I get a list of people because it's like they need to know. And if they don't know who I am, they don't know anything.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say that, y'all. I'm gonna put this as a note. It's important to get life insurance. It is important, but it's also just as important to make sure that you tell the people who you put down as beneficiaries, everything like that. Like, have all your paperwork in order, have all your ducks in a row, because nobody's trying to be grieving and searching. Like, nobody's trying to be doing all that.
This isn't no scavenger hunt. Like, and I know people are sick and twisted in the head that don't actually treat it like that, but no, just save everybody's time, a lot less stress. Let's just get over this since it's inevitable. Let's make things easier for you. And
luckily, I have to say, with my friend, like, we were able to search through paperwork in order to find said policies.
But
the fact that we even had to sit and do that
was such a painful process. I think, I was looking. Yeah, that was hard.
That was a painful process, and it's just like you have to think about that, like your loved ones. Like, yeah, okay, you have the policy, but you didn't do the other steps to let your loved ones know, like, what's going on.
You know what though? Because I was watching Law and Order today. I'm trying to like get into the head of someone that would actually do that. Maybe like, oh, I don't want to go and tell the people that I got life insurance and they're the beneficiary, because like, what if they try to like have a Knives Out situation, try to kill me off before? I'm like, you know what? If you feel like your family or friends or beneficiaries would even do that to you,
they shouldn't be your beneficiary.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
they shouldn't be your beneficiary.
Why are they even in your circle? Like,
they should not
like,
be.
You know what? This could probably work. You need to rethink who you keep around. That's just a word to the wise.
Yes, definitely. So that's one thing I definitely want to make sure, like, if you're gonna get a policy, just make sure people know what the policy is and know what the situation is. And now I have another question, because you brought it up. So I think that's a beautiful thing that you call your clients and stuff to be like, hey, da 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 da.
Yeah, that's really good.
But now I have another question. Let's say something happens to you as the agent. I'm not trying to be funny. Who's the question
who's gonna take your cases and know who you got life insurance on your life insurance?
That's a good answer. That's a good question.
I see you, Danielle. You're right here. You're decades ahead.
And hopefully at that point, the client would have told their people that they got a life insurance policy.
Is that guaranteed? Like, is that just for you that you go out of your way to do that, or is that just a standard that everybody does?
Not everybody. So the people in my group, my company, that's something that we definitely push for us to, and it helps us to just generate more people that we're connected with, and the person I'm talking to, they might need insurance too. So, it's a really great referral system. It's a really great way for me to introduce myself to the family, get connected with the people. And, thankfully I haven't had to, just, put in any claims, and hopefully I don't have to, but it's just always a good way for me to just, connect. And who knows, sometimes people probably don't save my number, but I made the effort to connect,
Got you.
Because, like, even if they don't save the number, or like their phone gets destroyed, or like the beneficiary actually passes before the person, before the person passed, and like what happened with that? What would happen in that situation if the person that was supposed to get the money doesn't exist anymore?
I guess then you have to update your policy.
No, you're dead.
Yes, you said the beneficiary dies before.
So yeah, what if they didn't? What if they didn't update, or what if they died with you, or like some freak accident? Like,
wow, you asking a lot. Well,
I'm trying to get my life.
We're gonna get our life. So, when I go through a policy with people, there's something called a contingent beneficiary. So if anything happens to the primary beneficiary, that contingent beneficiary will be the person that is going to get the funds, the money, or whatever. So we would contact both of those people. So some people don't want to add a contingent beneficiary, but
they have to be added because they have to sign off on it. Like,
what do you mean?
Like the contingent has to go, or I guess if they're of age, they would have to be like, okay, I understand that I'm a beneficiary to this. Like,
no, they don't have to sign it. No, none of the beneficiaries have to sign off that they're beneficiaries. If you were to get a policy on your cousin or something, that cousin would have to do it. But if I name my cousin as a beneficiary, there's nothing that they have to sign. It's just, and you can name multiple beneficiaries. You can split it. This person gets 10%, this person gets 20%, whatever. However you want to do it, but you can definitely do it that way.
Okay. All right. That's good to know.
I have a question. So, my friend actually just had a cousin pass unexpectedly, and they realized that they didn't have any life insurance, and now they're like in all this debt. is there anything that a life insurance company would be able to do for that family? Like, I don't know if there's life, is there such thing as afterlife insurance?
Nope. Unfortunately.
Nope. That's why it's called Go Get Your Life. Get your life
Go
now.
get your life.
Because you don't want to be in this situation.
And
That's
that's the
thing.
unfortunate part. That's the unfortunate part. Like, you know, and a lot of people don't think about it. And I'm not saying they don't care about their family. They're just not, it's kind of like they don't think about the importance of it. Like, get a life insurance, especially if you have children, please get a life insurance policy on yourself. If you are married, please get a life insurance policy on yourself, because there's nothing worse than a spouse dying unexpectedly. The other person is left to get the burden of that, the loss of income. So there's loss of income, and then they have to go back to work prematurely because they don't have any money, and they could potentially lose their home because they can't keep up with the finances. So there's so many things that can go awry if there's nothing in place. And life insurance is like, it's not expensive, especially if you're younger. Like, it's the most important. And I tell my clients, this is the most important bill that you're gonna pay. Like, forget the light bill or the cable bill, forget Netflix, all that stuff. Like, this is your family's livelihood. Like, if something happens to you, your family is going to be out of money. Like, how does that make you feel? Like, what is your wife gonna, and a lot of people don't think about it in that way. And I had a conversation with a young couple, if something happens to you, what does that look like? And they're like, well, I didn't think about that. Like, I said, well, what would you do?
Yeah, and
I wouldn't even know what I would do.
Take this off. I'm hot. I'm sorry, y'all.
I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, even if like I had all my ducks in a row, I know that me myself, I wouldn't know what I would do. I'd probably lose my flipping mind. But to then have that other burden of having to go and take care of everything, and that
it's like, I already helped. It's the burden of losing a person, the burden of now money, and it's just so much on top of grief. Like, it's a lot.
It's a lot, and it's hard. Like, when you don't have I'm gonna say this too. Like, we gotta do more episodes, because there's so much. Like, you gotta make sure. Like, let's say you have a house and you pass. I'm a person. I strongly believe in putting like things in trust. Versus,
you can actually put your house in trust.
Yes, I know. Yeah. So we're gonna be talking about that, but there's just so much that is involved with death, and I feel like I don't want to sit here trying to play detective when I really want to sit here and cry and grieve and really have that time. So if you could put my mind at ease just like a little bit with just making sure that everything's like where it needs to be. That is just great. I would be greatly appreciative. Like, I really
think about us.
Think about
the people that are still here.
I've been so, like, the past few years, I've been so on my. I mean, I know they have life insurance and everything. I know they have it, but I'm very much so like, what's the policies? Tell me everything you have, because they put me down for everything, mind you. And I told them, if you don't have it together, though, don't put my name down. Give it to one of my siblings, because I don't want to be stressed.
Go and ruin their lives.
You put my name down for everything, so somebody name down on everything. I want to know everything.
Yeah.
And I don't mind helping them out, but I'll just be like, hey, make sure this is done. Make sure this is done. I'm constantly, and they're probably like, here Danielle go again, asking us if we did this, if we did that. Yeah, yes, I'm gonna keep asking you, because I don't play no games. Y'all ain't getting any younger. I ain't getting any younger. We don't have time for this. Like,
do you think, like, could I get a life insurance on her and her on me, since like we're in business together?
Yeah, so there are policies where you can get it's called, I believe it's like a key leader. There are policies where you can get on each other since you're in business together, because if something happens to that other person, that that policy would pay out to the beneficiary to continue running the company. So that's an insurable interest. If you guys are business partners, like all those, that's a part of being, insurable interest. Yeah.
See, y'all keep learning something new. Look at that. Look at that. I'm getting that. I'm about to get that.
We all know that you're gonna die before me, so.
Let's not speak that.
Anywho, but yeah, so I feel like we could talk about this like all day.
Actually, no, I'd probably die before you. Unfortunately,
I'm not even listening to you right now. So I don't hear anything you gotta say. Disrespecting me.
It's not disrespect. It's just speculation.
Life and death lie in the power of your tongue.
That's why we're making the most of right here, right now.
Mm-hmm. So we could talk about this all day, but what I want to do is definitely, Abby, if you would give like your definitely like advice to anybody who's like, especially in our age group, who's just like, you know what, I'm only 30. I'll think about life insurance later.
Yeah.
Like, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them today about it?
Later may never come. Mm-hmm. That's like later may never come. And as beautiful as it feels to think like we'd live to 100, like tomorrow's not promised. So you have to make decisions today that would be beneficial for your tomorrow that may not come. And it's just important that you think about the people around you. Like, what would my loss be? Who would be responsible for my funeral? And asking yourself that question, do they have the money if tomorrow I passed away? And what would that do to my family? So it's like we have to, especially our age group, like it's crazy how before I have to leave a car lot with a brand new vehicle, I'm required to prove that I have car insurance in case I get into a car accident. In the event I get into a car accident, it is something that it's something that we should get on our phones. It's encouraged to get insurance on our phones, to get insurance on our house, apartments. These are things in case something happens. What about our life? Like, this is no in case, it's gonna happen. So why are we not required to get insurance on our lives? Like, that should be the number one requirement. But we don't think about it like that. We don't talk about it. It's something that has to happen. And when we look at like our priorities, like we spend a lot more money doing BS, like bottomless mimosas and brunches. Like, that could
all
be
these things to cut our life short.
Yeah, like we have, there's so much, like, life insurance is affordable, especially with our age group. It's affordable for our parents. It could be affordable, whatever. If you have siblings, you could put some money together, whatever. But if you are in our age group, the earlier you get life insurance, and it's ignorant to say, oh, I'm good, because you could be good today and something happens tomorrow, or something with your health changes drastically. And it's like, now it sucks. And, for business owners too, because like even life insurance policies isn't just for when you die. You can actually there's living benefits that you can use while you're alive. If you were diagnosed with a terminal illness, you can actually use some of that money up front to pay off medical bills. Some companies will be able to give you, there's so many different things that outside of life insurance, there are companies that have cancer policies. So at any point in time, if you were diagnosed with cancer, they will give you a lump sum of money to go towards your medical bills. If you want to take that money and go on a trip with your family because you were given a terminal illness, whatever, there's so many different things that we can put. And if you don't ever use that cancer policy, that money that you put into it will go to your beneficiary. So there's so many different options that people can use that are not just like dying. Like there's so many things that you can use while you're alive for a life insurance policy that's beneficial. And because people don't know that or realize that, they're like, oh, I'm going to be gone, I don't got to take care of it, but someone else is going to have to. And if you love your family enough, you wouldn't want to put that burden on them.
Right. And even if you were to live till 101, your family's still going to need help.
Right.
Whether it's today, tomorrow, yesterday, I don't know. Like they're
Yep,
still gonna need
that's
it.
true.
It's still essential. Because
Right.
like Mostess said, tomorrow may never show up.
I used to love me some Mostess.
You
Anyway,
still do.
I still do. Anyway, I was gonna say, so what advice would you give?
I would say that you really have to put things in perspective because, like I said, tomorrow may never show up, but evidently, people are still gonna be there that you're gonna leave behind. It's not necessarily a selfish thing to go and get this in order. It's more of a selfless thing because you're thinking of others. And even though it might seem like a morbid topic, it's better off talked about and done versus you regretting everything because you're making the most of what you're doing right now, but think about later down the road. Like maybe if you're not a planner, this is probably the best thing that you can ever plan for. It's only going to work out in your favor and the other person's favor.
Yep. For me, I'm just gonna say this. I have a few things to say. Number one, if you have children, get that baby some life insurance. Okay,
I didn't get that text back yet.
Fine, we'll find out. We'll ambush. Be like, does my baby have life insurance? Go get your baby some life insurance. Okay. The other thing I'm gonna say is this: like, if you can pay, as Abby had mentioned before, if you can pay for a Netflix subscription,
because more than one people are on that account.
And even if you're not paying for that Netflix subscription,
then get the life insurance.
Get that life insurance because you ain't paying for it. Somebody else paid for it. That's less money out of your pocket anyway. Go get that life. Insurance. Okay. Like there's so many different reasons, and this one's for the older folk who don't like to be talking about
nobody's trying to kill
business or anything like that. Nobody's trying to kill you.
No.
Nobody's trying to take your money. Please let your young people know, or anybody in your family or beneficial know what insurance you have, who they need to contact, because nobody's trying to play detective over here. Okay,
that's the thing. Don't be one of those people that leave it to the pet. Do not leave a life insurance policy to your pet that literally cannot speak English or speak at all. How? What? And don't leave your pet in your will to give it to somebody else. I'm just gonna say that.
That's all I'm saying. Get your papers in order. Get everything in order, y'all. I don't play about no money, okay? And now that we know, we best be sure if you own a business or something like that, make sure that you protect yourself.
Keep
you
that
protect
money
your
right.
Partner. Get your money right. We ain't playing no games. It's 2023. Okay,
we're too old to be making stupid mistakes like that.
No, we're not doing that. Okay. Oh, all right. So
and surround yourself with the right people that won't be scheming for your dad to get that check.
Yes. So on that note, we just want to thank Abby. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about the life insurance. I feel like this was a very educational episode. I really hope that people really listen and pay attention and follow directions and get yourself some life insurance. Okay.
I just want to throw it out there. If you or anyone you know is interested in being a life insurance agent, it's a very lucrative. You can do it part-time, full-time. And I would be honored to help you in this journey. So we're always looking for people who want more additional income. It's amazing. It's fulfilling. It's great. You can help people and make a really nice commission.
Yes, and also in case I say go ahead, do it, get your license, y'all. If you need to, if you want to, whatever. But also, most importantly, please call Abby to get your life insurance. Okay.
Where can we contact you, Abby?
You can find me on Facebook, Abby GEBBY space GEE, or you can contact me on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok, Abby EBBY _ GEE 6211. You can reach me on all platforms. Reach out to me, add me. We can always connect. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, and I just want to make sure that we make it clear that you can follow us at www.allegedlycredible.com. Well, you can click there, watch all our episodes. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Google, we're on Apple. We're on a lot of different streaming platforms, and you can always follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Do we have TikTok?
And I just started posting 2 things on Twitter.
Oh yeah, we have a Twitter.
We have a Twitter. We had used to have one. I don't know where it went, so we made a new one. It's still under Allegedly Credible.
Yes, at Allegedly Credible for all the handles at Allegedly Credible.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's everything. So we hope if you have any topics that you would like for us to talk about, please feel free to DM us or message us.
Feel free to donate to us. We have Cash App, Venmo, and Zelle. Under Allegedly Credible, or the Zelle is allegedlycredible@gmail.com. And
I think that's everything. But yeah, guys, please get that life insurance. All right, peace.
Do us a favor.
Have a good one.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Hey, it's your girl, Lady Faye.
And your girl, Melissa Primo here.
And we just want to thank you so much for all the love and support for all the listeners that listen to us. But if you would really like to see us grow, we need your donations.
And you can send those donations via Zelle at allegedlycredible@gmail.com, or
you can Venmo us or Cash App us under Allegedly Credible. Anything that you would give us, we would greatly appreciate it. It's going to go towards some bigger goals we have.
Yep. Thank you so much, Credit Peeps.
Thank you.